everybody, and welcome to another episode of Closed Mouths Don't Get Fed radio show. I'm your host, Travé Nicole, and as always, you guys know that I'm excited for you all to be joining me on this evening. Wow, it's another day. That means we've been given new grace and new mercy. How many of you received blessings on today? Look, the blessings may not have been exactly what we expected, but we got to count all of our blessings, right? The breath that we have in our lungs right now, the fact that I'm able to take a deep breath and blow it out, that is a blessing to me. And that's just one example of a small thing that is actually a huge thing, but something that I don't stop and realize and think about. That type of blessing. When I'm going through something, remembering that I'm blessed doesn't always mean that I have received money in the bank or I've received a new car, but I have a life in my body, which means, as I said last week, that I'm filled with purpose. So once again, welcome to Closed Mouths Don't Get Fed radio show. If you are a new listener, welcome, welcome, welcome. As I said before, the show is called Closed Mouths Don't Get Fed radio show. We are here to encourage, to inspire you, to inform, and to pray and to push you into purpose. The open mouth, the open mind, the open ears, the open heart should be just as ready to receive as it is to contribute to the kingdom. We are here every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern. And you can catch our video replays every Wednesday and Friday at 10 a.m. and 7 p.m. And once again, that is Central Standard Time. Right? But now it's time for the recap. I think every time I hear that, now it's time for the recap, or I hear myself say it, I can think of it as a song. Now it's time for the recap. Hey, now it's time for the recap, because I'm excited about the recap. On last week, if you were not listening into the show, we had a special guest. Her name was Zandra Osborne, and we talked about self-care, which is something that is very, very important. To me, it's something that's very, very important and necessary right now in the world. And normally whenever you hear about self-care, people talk about making sure that you take time to spend time on yourself and with yourself. We want to make sure that our mind is right, that it's clear and able for us to think, able for us to go through life making the right decisions, making the God decisions, right? Some people practice self-care in different ways. People go work out. People get manicures and pedicures, get their nails done. People take bubble baths with the little bath bombs that we have out now in today's world. People go and they work out. Whatever it is that makes you get back in the right headspace. All good things. But last week we talked about some other things that also are forms of self-care. And why? Because a lot of those things, they help us naturally, physically, mentally and emotionally as well. But what about spiritually? Because we are in this body, but we are spirit. And so we have to make sure that we take care of our spirit man as well. And how do we do that? We talked about some things by prayer, through worship, and through our communication with God, having a good relationship with God. If we have a good relationship with God, then we should be able to have a good relationship with ourselves. We should love ourselves, which means that we'll be able to take good care of ourselves. And we should also be able to have a good relationship with those around us, with our brothers and sisters in Christ. All right, but one of the main things that we focused on was prayer. Okay, and we went over just some basic things that could help those that may be out there that are not used to praying, or maybe got away from praying, or living a lifestyle of prayer. We talked about using the word whenever we pray, journaling and writing, getting those things down that happen throughout your day, writing how you feel, and then taking it to God in prayer. When we also talked about how if we make a list of those things that we go through on the daily, we can use them as prayer targets. And we also can insert the word into our prayer by finding specific scriptures, using something as simple as Google, the internet, which is right at our fingertips. We have our phones with us all the time. But going to the internet and finding scriptures that fit or that go with those targets and using those in prayer. So researching and studying for those prayer targets. But one thing I like to add is making it personal. Make your prayer personal. Don't just say general statements. Make it personal. Really go to God and tell him how you feel. Tell him what it's like. He knows, but he wants you to come to him. He stands at the door of our hearts. All he wants us to do is let him in so that he can come in and sup with us. Come in and talk with us, right? A lot of times we look at what everybody else is doing, and sometimes it can make prayer seem really overwhelming. And it's something that's so necessary and so important and so beneficial to us that you don't want it to be something that you feel overwhelmed whenever you're trying to do it, or you feel like you're obligated to do it. It's something that should not just be considered a task. It's something that we need to be grateful that we have the opportunity to do. And so start having that conversation with him. Start practicing self-care. Start communicating. Build your relationship with him. Our spirit man needs it. Our spirit man needs it. One of the things also that Zandra mentioned frequently on the show last week was a book called Daybreakers. That is the book that I wrote myself and published last year in 2020. Many listeners don't know this, but that's actually how we started Closed Mouths Don't Get Fed. We started with sessions based on that book, Daybreakers. And there are a lot of things that we talked about in those sessions that I think we should bring back. I think that we should revisit some of those things because, look, the journey that we're on right now, the journey that we're walking right now, we need some of those tools and some of those things back. We need to revisit some of those things. And for some of you, those things will be brand new. For some of you, they aren't things that are unheard of, but there are things that maybe you've never tried before. And so I just want to revisit that on today's show. I want to revisit those things. I think that it would greatly benefit us through what we're going through right now. Since I released that book, it was a year ago. So many things have happened in my own life. As I'm sure a lot of things have happened in the lives of those of you that were in those sessions with me, those first few shows, both good and bad. Look, we've gone through a lot of things together, right? The world seems to have been shaken up a little bit, right? But like I said, I've gone through good and I've gone through bad myself. And those things seem to, or may have caused us to get a little bit bent out of shape. So, first of all, I just want to stop and take a moment. I want to stop and take a deep breath. I've had several times here lately where I've just stopped and taken a moment to take a deep breath, because we've taken all of these things into our mind, into our hearts, into our eyes, into our ears. We've taken all of these things in, but have we stopped and inhaled and let it out? Have we stopped and taken a deep breath? Let's just pause for a minute. Inhale and exhale. Because it's time to get back in shape. It's time to get up out of the acceptance of our circumstances and get back into character. And not saying that you shouldn't accept the circumstance that you're in. Yes, don't be in denial about the fact that you're going through something, because it happens. Everybody goes through. But take that acceptance and do something about it. Pray about it. There are things that you can change yourself. I said that on last week, and I'm going to mention it again probably several times in this show on tonight. We got to get back into character. We got to get back into that place of authority that God put us in. How do we do that? We do that by marking our territory. Marking our territory. That is what we're talking about on today. We get back into shape by marking our territory. Once again, I realized that a few things have happened since I have written that book. I definitely have felt out of shape. Physically, I felt out of shape. I haven't worked out in a while. And when I talk about the way that I feel physically out of shape, you may realize that you have felt some of these things too when you've been out of shape, or if you're out of shape now. But think about how spiritually you feel. You may feel this way. So a few things that I realize whenever my body is physically out of shape is I get tired a whole lot faster than I normally would if I was in shape. I get tired a whole lot faster. I can't lift or carry things that I used to. So I'm not as strong as I was when I was in shape. I actually feel heavier. I get out of breath easier. My clothes may not fit like they used to. And the number one sign is that not only do I feel different, but I even look different. And the thing about looking different is most of the time, at least in my case, is I don't even realize that I look different until somebody points it out to me. Until somebody tells me that I look different. Whether that be it looking like I gained a little bit of weight, or it looking like I lost a little bit of weight, or it just looking like I'm tired or like I'm stressed out. Sometimes it takes someone else to point that out to me, but I am out of shape. When we get in the process of trying to get back in shape and get back into the swing of things, generally we call that strength and conditioning, or the off season. We do strength and conditioning. So I want to do a little bit of strength and conditioning with you all on today using my book Daybreakers. And we're going to talk about what I mean by marking your territory. Here we are. Daybreakers. Got my handy dandy book, Daybreakers. All right, so it's so funny that some of the things I wrote about in this book, I did not expect them to happen. I didn't expect them to happen. But they did, like the pandemic, for example, and you'll see that when you hear some of the things that I share with you. But I'm going to start with my closing remarks from the book. And I have some of the same questions that I had back then. So paragraph 1 on this page in my closing remarks says, when an infectious and contagious disease hits the airways or the waterways, what do? We try to contain it, right? We isolate and quarantine those who have been infected. We stay away so that we do not get infected. Oh, how I wish that we would treat these mental diseases, these purpose diseases, these infectious vision viruses the same way. Can we quarantine the people and the things that negatively influence our decisions, our actions, our lives? Quarantine the negative words. Quarantine the negative thoughts. Kill it before it kills you. Kill the contagion and save a life. And let me tell you, I have the same question right now today. Can we quarantine? Can we do so much to really stay away from the disease? We don't want to get infected. But can we treat our lives, our vision, our purpose the same way? Our circle, as a lot of people keep talking about, their circle is small. They keep it small. Can we do the same thing? Can we work hard to stay away from those people that are negative, to stay away from those people that are Debbie Downers, those people that are always doubting you, discouraging you, telling you that your vision sounds crazy, that you'll never amount to anything, that you'll never be good enough, that you're not going to be able to do that, that think that everything that you are trying to do is crazy. It may be crazy, but it doesn't mean that it's impossible. All things are possible with God, right? I'm going to just go ahead and go to the second paragraph that says, let's recondition our minds. Let's reset our alarms. It's the first thing many of us hear before we wake up, and the emotions that flood some of our bodies is one of anger, resentment, exhaustion, and frustration at getting up. Look, I've been there. That is me. When that alarm goes off, no matter how many times it goes off, my alarm goes off every day. But guess what? Every single day my alarm goes off. It scares the mess out of me. And I don't want to get up sometimes. I don't want to get up. I want a few more hours of sleep. Hours, not minutes. A few more hours of sleep sometimes. But don't just set your alarm. Why don't we get in the habit of ringing the alarm? This would be like holding a steak in front of a lion or a bone in front of a dog. Your success, your potential, your greatness should be mouth-watering. When your alarm goes off, it's time to reach for that thing, for that vision, for that calling, greatness, success, promotion and get up. Get up. We need to strengthen and condition our minds. In order to reach for something, you have to stretch, right? We have to stretch. When you're not used to stretching, what can happen? You can pull a muscle and seriously hurt yourself. Whenever you are going at your own pace, doing things your own way, and then you quickly try to hurry up and reach and stretch for something, you can hyperextend, and guess what? You can also hurt yourself, right? This means that we have to get in a routine of this. We use strength and conditioning to get in shape, but we have to continue working out in order to stay in shape. We make it a routine thing, make it a lifestyle. Can we make reaching and stretching and praying a lifestyle? Can we do it? Can we do that? Our lives depend on it. I'm not trying to be encouraging. When I say it, I'm really trying to push you to do this. I'm trying to urge you to do this, to pray. There's so much out there that obviously we see happening on the news, we hear happening. But what about all the things you can't see, that you can't discern? Are you tired of things seemingly just walking up on you, sneaking up on you, surprising you, things coming out of the blue? I'm not saying that we will hear and see everything that comes our way before it happens. But the fact is that when it does happen, we let it take us out and keep us out, or we let it take us down and keep us down. Last week, I made the mention of the serenity prayer. I made mention of the serenity prayer, and I challenged you all to go find the prayer and read it yourselves. And I'm going to read it for you right now. I'm going to read the whole serenity prayer. The whole serenity prayer says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That's the part we all know. The rest of it says, living each day at a time, enjoying each moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace. My favorite part and hardest part, taking as Jesus did this sinful world as it is and not as I would have it. Trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you in the next. Talk about marking your territory. That prayer puts several things into perspective for me anyway. It puts several things in their rightful place in my mind and in my heart. I can distinguish between those things that I need to let go of and give to God, and those things that He has equipped me to handle, to change myself. As I said last week, the part that He had me focused on was asking for the courage to change the things that I can. I can ask for the courage to change the things that I can, the courage to change the things that I can, the wisdom to change the things that I can, the guidance to change the things that I can, the strength to change the things that I can, the right words to change the things that I can, the right moves to change the things that I can, the right decisions to change, the right connections to change the things that I have. Because if I have the right connection and I have the right resources and I have the right decisions and I have the right words, then I'll be a little bit more confident. Maybe then I'll have the courage to change the things that I can. Because here's the thing. We can do nothing ourselves and still be in His will. We can do nothing ourselves and still be in the will of God. He gives us the grace. He gives us the grace, the tools, the equipment to shake things up, to change things, to shift things and move things around. He called you, but He didn't call you to bless you. Your blessings are things that you already have. You may not physically feel them or possess them in your hands, but your blessings are things that they already have your name on it. You have an inheritance if you know and realize and believe and accept the fact that you're a child of God. You have an inheritance and you will receive it. But what He's called you to do, He's called you to speak. He's called you to break, to make disciples, to create. He gave you eyes. He gave you ears. He gave you hands. He gave you a mouth. He gave you a mind. He's equipped you. Go back and read Isaiah 61. Go read it. So, marking your territory, putting things in their rightful place, going for what is for you, what God has for you, and leaving behind those things that he doesn't have for you, those things that you shouldn't be trying to put your hands on, those things you shouldn't be trying to reach for. Stop reaching for things that are not for you. Let go of the things that do not concern you. Paul said, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind me, forgetting those things which are behind me, and reaching forth unto the things which are before me, the things he has placed before me. One of my prayers every day is that God orders my steps. He's not going to order your steps in the wrong direction. He's not going to order your steps towards something that's not for you. So I reach for the things that are before me. I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus. And it's a high calling. That means we got to come up higher. It's a high calling. He's calling us up high. Get back into that place of authority where he's placed you. Once again, God, please grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change. Put them where they're supposed to be, in your hands, God, and give us the courage to change the things that you've given us the grace and the tools to change. And let us operate in wisdom when we sometimes want to act confused about which is which. Because if I'm honest, at times that is the case. We want to act confused because things feel good or things seem right, because other people say that things are right for us that are not right for us, because everybody else is doing this. And so we want to do what everybody else is doing because we don't want to walk this path feeling like we're alone. One of the main things that people do when trying to lose weight or get back in shape, besides working out, is detox. They want to detox. The definition of detoxification is the process of ridding the body of toxins that are unhealthy substances or waste. When it comes to the spiritual things, it's so important. This is so important. To put things in their rightful place, to make a stand, to mark your territory, to deny access to those things that you know may feel right, but are not right. And you know the kind of right I'm talking about. We spend a lot of time, speaking of putting things in the proper place, we spend a lot of time on trying to put people in their right place, to put people in their place, when we need to learn to put that hurt in the right place. We need to learn how to put that anger in the right place. None of this is in this book. None of this is in this book. This is what I've learned since I have published the book. This is what has changed since I published the book. I've made some new habits, and marking your territory is one of those habits that I only just now realized that that's what I was doing. So I want to go back real quick. When we talk about putting things in the rightful place, detoxing and doing things that you know may feel right but are not right. Marking your territory. Okay, first of all, you know how dogs mark their territory, right? Do you know why dogs mark their territory? So they want to make their presence known. I knew this. But what I didn't know was that their urine signifies their rank. Need I say more about this? Do I really need to go into detail about their urine signifies their rank? Marking your territory. You can do the research yourself, but put yourself back in that place of authority. Put yourself back in the rank that he gave you back in the book of Genesis. He gave you at the beginning, before you were born, before you were formed in the womb. He called you, he predestined you a prophet to the nation. I mark my territory in prayer constantly. And like I said, I've only just now realized here recently what it was that I was doing. Before, during the day, at the end of the day, when I come home from work, my home is my sanctuary. That is my dwelling place. This body should be God's sanctuary, his temple. It says that in his word. his dwelling place. I want his presence to reside here. I want to carry the glory of God. In order to do that, I have to get rid of, when I come home to my sanctuary where I dwell, I get rid of every toxic thing before I enter into that place. And I invite him in again. I invite God in again. You know how you're on a web page and it freezes or starts bugging and you have to refresh the page? I refresh my mind so I don't freeze, so I don't get stuck. Marking my territory. It is a must. It's a must. When I say mark my territory in prayer, I mark my territory, my body, my mind, my heart, my marriage, my finances, my job, my future, my family, everything. It all belongs to him, because I belong to him. And I put myself, it's a notice to myself to get back in the right place. After maybe being bogged down or stressed out during the day, I get rid of all that stuff. I give it over to him. The Bible says, cast your cares upon him, for he cares for you. I give it over to him and I invite him back. That's the important thing. After all that stuff is gone, I invite him back in. We got to do it. I make a point to say that I belong to him. It all belongs to him. And I make it known that the enemy cannot have it. This is my territory. This is God's territory. We got to do it. We got to do it. Once again, none of this is in this book. So about the book, I named the book Daybreakers. Win your day before it starts. We should start planning to win our day the day before. So the Bible says that we should give no thought or worry about tomorrow. But it didn't say don't pray about it. And when you take it to the Lord in prayer, he said, cast your cares once again on me because I care for you. He just tells us the rightful place to put that worry. Once again, putting things in the right place. It makes me think of drawing a line in the sand. Or whenever we were kids and we would play fight or whatever, and we would draw a line and say, bet you won't cross that line. Saying, don't cross that line. Because I serve a God. He tells us the rightful place to put that worry and to put that anxiety on him, at his feet. Give it over to him. Give that unforgiveness over to him. Give that hatred, that anger, that resentment, give it all over to him. Back when I was doing sessions for the book, during the first session, I believe, and you can go and find the sessions on YouTube under Travé Nicole, my name. But during the first session, I talked about what a daybreaker is. And this comes straight from Google. I looked up the definition of a breaker. And if you're doing any one of these things during the daytime, then you are a day breaker. During that 24-hour period, if you're doing these things, you're a day breaker. So a day breaker is someone that dismantles, disarms, separates, interrupts, transforms, shifts, and morphs. Somebody should be at least a little bit excited about hearing that. Are you doing this? Are you doing this throughout the 24-hour period? If you are, then you're a day breaker. Welcome to the club. In the book, I talk about conditioning your mind. I know I mentioned that not too long ago. Conditioning your mind to believe this, to believe you are a day breaker. And all you're having to do is just affirm the word over you, for you, to you every single day. Speak the word over yourself and use those targets we talked about earlier and I told you to write down last week. For example, okay, here's Psalm 91 with some targets inserted. You will not fear the terror of night, nightmares and night terrors, evil and wicked thoughts, dreams and visions, worry about someone breaking in, especially at night, worries about others going through things we can't control, nor the arrow that flies by day, because I am armored up with my shield of faith, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, early in the morning or late at night, any time of the day, nor the plague that destroys at midnight, even in the middle of the day, at lunchtime, when I'm at work, when I'm trying to catch a nap, when I'm watching TV, when I'm grocery shopping, when I'm at work, when I'm taking care of the kids, anytime. Psalm 27, Though an army besiege me, when I feel like I'm surrounded and things seem to be happening every time I turn around left and right, my heart will not fear. It will not fear. Though war break out against me, when it seems like life is rolling with the punches and the enemy is coming hard at me, lying on me, trying to destroy my character, trying to kill me, even then will I be confident. For in the day of trouble, when all of this is going down, he will keep me safe in his dwelling. He will hide me in the shelter of his sacred tent and set me high upon a rock. Page 38 talks about commanding your day, because it's something that we have to do. We have to command your day. Look at my shirt. You like my shirt? It says she overcame everything that was meant to destroy her. Come on now. All right, page 38. Command your day. And I'm closing up with this. I'm ending the show with this. It's a long read. Just bear with me. It says you have the authority. Command your day. In other words, seize the day. In other words, break the day. Life happens in a moment of a day and we forget the authority that we have. Funny how we seek promotion, we seek attention, we want to be noticed, and we want to be recognized. We want others to recognize our greatness, but we can't recognize or comprehend it ourselves. How can we seek approval from others when we don't approve of ourselves? We do everything we're supposed to in order to get the job. We dress up, get made up, we work out and work on ourselves. We spray some cologne and perfume. We practice our faces. We practice our words, interview answers, speeches. We practice. The thing about practice that is oftentimes when we practice for the part, for the role, and for the job, it's the first time that we've practiced it. Many of us go into the interview for the next level dressed like the previous level. We're dressed how we've been dressing. We're talking how we've been talking. We've done everything up to this point to get to the next level except come up to the next level. We apply for the position but won't do our part. We talk the good game to get here, and that's why we seem to keep losing at life, because we practice what we preach. We talk game and play game. Life is a game to us. There's more winners and losers than sinners and saints. We aren't sinners and saints. We're his children, some saved, some lost. The best way to take advantage of the opportunity to come up higher is to come up higher. He's already pulling you up higher. He just needs you to meet him there. What if every day you wake up is the interview for the next level? What if every breath given on a new day is an interview question? Here's breath. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it for this next level? Here's mobility. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it for this next level? Here's sight. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with your sight on this next level, with your hearing on this next level, with this discernment, this strength, this gift? What are you going to do with it for this next level? Oh no, you're still stuck on what happened yesterday. You're still stuck on what they said about you last week. They, them, those that are still on that last level, still on last week, still on yesterday. What are you going to do with today? The best answer, the best response will get the job. They will get the promotion. How will you respond? I don't know much, but what I do know is that to get any job there, that is a promotion in which you will be the head or command of something. You are required to have experience being the head or command of something or somebody. You can't apply to come up. You have to already be up in order to be recognized. So how do we take command? How do we command our day? Get back in your place of authority. Mark your territory in prayer. We got to get up. We got to wake up. If you have to make a list of things you can control and things you can't, let go of the things that you can't and pray about how you can change the things that you can. Once again, pray for direction, pray for guidance, pray for peace about it, pray for confidence. Pray that he would be your strength and obey what he tells you to do. Pray and obey. We can second guess ourselves all day, but don't second guess him. Don't second guess him. He knows. He goes before and he stands behind. A cloud by day and a fire by night, right? He's got you. He's got you. Well, this has been another episode of Closed Mouths Don't Get Fed radio show. And I hope and pray that in the coming shows that there's much said and much done that will aid you in this journey towards getting back on your feet, towards taking that authority back, whether that be physically or spiritually or mentally, but wholly, I hope, fully, your natural man, your physical man, and your spirit man, mind, body, and spirit, right? Until then, remember to be patient in affliction, persistent in prayer, and as always, never forget that closed mouths do not get fed.